Hi, I'm so glad to be here with my good friend Corbin Ball, who I've known. We've known each other for like 3 decades, Corbin?
Yeah, over 3 decades. Yes.
And Corbin Ball, for those that don't know you, and I know there's probably aren't too many like that, is if we were in academia instead of the meetings industry, he would be full professor, fully tenured, emeritus, with a chair named after him in technology. So really glad to have you, Corbin.
Good to be here, Jeff.
So besides that glowing introduction, tell us just a little bit about Corbin Ball and what Corbin Ball does.
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity. I am currently a speaker, consultant, writer, and analyst on event technology. My past life was as a meeting planner for a high-tech association running international citywide technology meetings. And so I thought I'd carry that over, and I moved over to form my own business 24 years ago. So it's been some time.
So almost a quarter of a century. That's mind-boggling, since we're both really only 39. You're 39, I'm 38, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do in this series for the virtual brunch with actual nerds is talk a little bit about your experience and what we've sort of gone through, especially as it relates to how meetings and events have changed, and then how you see things moving forward over the next months or even a couple of years.
Sure. Well, certainly we have gone through a huge amount of change. In fact, in this last year, there's been more change in terms of event technology, specifically around virtual and hybrid events, but it's going deeper than that. But there's been more change in the last year than I've ever seen in all the time watching it. It's been an incredible wave of innovation, figuring out how to use virtual meetings, and we're going to see a similar type of wave coming this year, figuring out how to run hybrid meetings, because for many it's a whole different set of requirements for that. But I think in a deeper level that is going to really change the face of live events, of face-to-face events. It's what we've learned here is that there are different audiences out there that we can expand, that we can move out and capture larger audiences than just sitting in the four walls. And that will, I think, come into how you affect that face-to-face, how it changes face-to-face events. That, if, for example, one of the things that we've learned with virtual meetings is that the attention span for virtual meetings are not very long unless you have absolutely compelling, really great content. And even that, people are distracted with their home or their office environment with that. And but in some ways that has made us be more sharper and more detailed in terms of, more focused in terms of the events. And I think that those things is kind of like the TED Talks. You have about 20 minutes to speak and then you move on. And I think that some of the things that we've learned will carry on and change the face of how we run face-to-face events. And that I think they're going to, this is the time to throw out the playbook and re-examine them. Do we always have to have a 90-minute keynote address in the morning, and do breakouts, and then doing a lunch, and then afternoon breakouts and a reception? And we have kind of done the same thing for decades, as long as both of us have been in this industry. The meetings have not changed that much. And I think that this infusion of innovation and how that's going to go through will apply. And people say, let's add this easy to do production standards. And that's a lot of the innovation that's happened. It's been, how to improve. You can't just set a camera in the back of the room and call it a virtual or a hybrid meeting. And, you have to build the production. But with all this that's happened. Nearly all the major online registration companies have made now a hybrid and a virtual component of it, and then many others as well. And then there's 100 virtual and hybrid event companies out there, and we're all practicing on this. We've all got extensive experience in video conferencing and Zoom calls and all this. We're all figuring out how this works, and I think that's going to change how events will be run. It's a real major push toward digitization in society in general. And we're doing online ordering. We're doing, there's just all those things that we have become accustomed to, takeout deliveries and all these different things here. That's going to go over to telemedicine. It's going to go over to events. It's going to go over how we do that. We have a whole new set of tools that event planners can use to bring people together in different ways. And I think when we get through this pandemic, that one of the things will happen is that virtual and hybrid events will make a substantially larger portion of the event pie. And I think that, there are a lot of people that say, I can't afford it, or I just don't want to get on a plane to go there. And so I think that's going to make events, the people that do make it there, even if for some time in the future, it may change the dynamics, that you would have, the events, the live events may be smaller, but more select in terms of that, maybe more costly. And then there's going to be a component that brings people in from all over the world. So these are exciting times, and I think that we'll see substantial changes.
It sounds to me like you're saying that the impact of the last year has created more lasting change in the meetings and events industry and how we do things than maybe the last 50 years.
I think in some ways, yes. I mean, we have advanced more in this last year than we have virtual meetings and hybrid meetings have advanced more. Virtual meetings, I should say, have advanced more in this last year than they have in the last decade. I mean, this has been a really huge, profound changes, and I think that this is going to bleed over into just how basic face-to-face meetings are run.
Well, Corbin, you've been writing about technology and meetings events now for really more than those 24 years, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So when was the first time you predicted that what we think of as a hybrid event would be, Monica, would you please close that?
I was just trying to see if somebody came.
Okay, we're in the middle of recording a Zoom meeting.
Do you need it?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to look at what
really
for that guy. Hi, Corbin.
Yeah, well, okay. Leighton, you can cut out this section. Yeah. Well, let's start again. So what I was going to ask you, in the quarter of a century or more that you've been writing and sort of predicting what was happening in technology and meetings, when did you first see what we've come to lovingly call hybrid meetings? When did you predict that? Because I don't think this is new to you.
Oh, I think that possibilities, I mean, some form of hybrid meetings have been around for, or virtual meetings been around for decades with that. And you have the various types of systems have been out, WebEx, and, those ones have been doing some type of webinar capability for some time. I think that when the technology started coming up is in the early 2000s, when the concept and hybrid meetings have been around as well, and we've been doing them. They not nearly as easily and as capable as they are now, but they've been around for a couple of decades. And so typically I was always looking for, what I always look for is technology innovation. That's what my key focus is how can you use technology to improve the business process of events? And so pretty soon after people started doing that, I started writing and writing about it and the capabilities and that. And MPI did a survey, I think perhaps 2006, about asking, will hybrid meetings cannibalize, or virtual meetings cannibalize face-to-face meetings? And so there's things I've talked about. The difference is that it's just vastly more capable and easier to do now than it was in the past.
Yeah, I just remember listening to some of your presentations at MPI and other events, talking about how, oh yeah, you can't get this speaker to come in. Well, you can just have them, in real time, at your event, but they're in Singapore and you're in Atlanta, so just like, and people's eyes sort of got wide and, just sort of picturing that. And of course you would have video of more of a Princess Leia kind of style of projection in 3D, but still, the thing is we've actually achieved a lot of that by necessity. And what you're saying then is that this is part of how it's going to be from here on out.
I think so. I mean, face-to-face meetings will come back, and they will, and trade shows will come back. I mean, there's a real power in face-to-face meetings, and but I think that they will change. I think that there's we have learned a lot with this, and what we've learned, these different sets of tools, and how one example is with virtual meetings. One of the benefits we've found is that they are so trackable in terms of the statistical analysis of that, and so the analytics, and so every click is trackable, and every touch on a mobile event app is trackable, and so the amount of information that you can find about the individual attendee journey is really better than face-to-face in many cases, and a lot better in some cases. And so but I think that the realization that you can do that and start integrating, I think that's going to really push forward the need to do more analytics on face-to-face events. And it's just been shown the markers, how good it is with this component. Let's bring it in and figure out a way we can combine it all to better provide service for that attendee at future events.
So my friend, I really appreciate your insights, as do all of our listeners, and can't thank you enough for your time and for your prescience. This is I mean, it's great to hear that this is it's good, and that what we've just lived through is going to make meetings better as we go forward.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Jeff. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, take care.
Take care.